Okay, I have 6 o'clock and I think everybody's here. So I call to order the January meeting of the Lafayette Common Council. Will you please rise to the pledge to our nation's flag? Oh. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Will the clerk please conduct a roll call?
Heidi?
Here.
Clinker?
Here.
Nargi?
Here.
Reynolds?
Here.
Campbell?
Here.
Brown?
Here.
Allersmeyer? Here. Downing?
Here.
Williamson?
Here.
Quorum present.
Okay, next on the agenda is election of officers. We'll elect our new president first. Mr.
Madam
Downing?
President, I would like to nominate Melissa Weist Williamson for Lafayette City Council President for 2021.
Second.
Mr. Downing? Okay. Do we need any discussion? I don't think so. Okay, will the clerk conduct a roll call vote?
Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer? Aye. Downing?
Aye.
Congratulations, Melissa.
You're in charge, girl. Go for it.
Thank you.
Melissa.
Yeah, we need to elect our president pro tem for next year, please. Do I have any nominations?
Madam President, I'd like to nominate Perry Brown for City Council Pro Tem for 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you. All right, any other nominations? All right, can we take a roll call vote, please?
Heidi?
Yeah.
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer? Aye. Downing?
Aye.
And Williamson. All right, Mr. Brown. You've been elected.
Thank you.
All right, we need to approve our minutes from the December 7th meeting, please.
Madam President, I move for approval of those minutes on first and final reading.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Can we conduct a roll call vote, please?
Heidi?
Yeah.
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Who?
Brown?
Aye.
Okay, Allersmeyer? Aye. Downing?
Aye.
Minutes approved.
Thank you. Are there any presentation and disposal of claims?
There are none.
Presentation of petitions and communications?
There are none.
Reports of city offices on file in the city clerk's office.
Fleet maintenance monthly November, police department monthly November, renew department monthly November, and waterworks department monthly November.
Okay, just a reminder, those are on file in the clerk's office if anybody would like to see them. All right, we do have some ordinances for second reading tonight.
Ordinance 2020-44. This is the one that was tabled from last month. An ordinance to amend zoning ordinance of Tippecanoe County, Indiana to rezone certain real estate from GB to I-3 600 Elston Road, Jetboy LLC petitioner.
Thank you. Ms. Oliver?
Madam President, I move we hear and consider ordinance 2020-44.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Second.
Very good. All right. Is Mr. going to talk to the ordinance tonight?
Sorry. Good evening, Madam President and the council. Tyler Oaks, Paul Eggleston, on behalf of petitioner Dan Gillis, who is the owner of JetBoy LLC. This is a tabling from last month regarding the rezone from GB to I3, and that was filed with a commitment in front of the Area Plan Commission. We were giving a 14-2 vote in favor of this rezone. The client plans to put a boat and RV storage unit at the premises, and that will be its sole use for the time being. Currently, as it is zone GB, you can have up to 2 acres of usage for the storage that we proposed. However, since we plan to expand past that, this would be rezoned to that I3. Since we filed the commitment, there are no other possible uses we can have outside of the 2 permitted uses that we've listed in the commitment. And this is enforceable by the APC and APC staff. Currently, there's fencing that exists on the west and north side. So to the north, there's a cemetery. To the west, there's residential. There is a chain link fence that exists there presently. There would be fencing added in. Obviously, with a storage unit, you would need that fencing and to secure the premises. Other than that, I think we pretty much hit on a lot of things last time. We're looking at roughly 1,500 feet of linear fencing, and it would be asphalt per city code. Be happy to answer any questions. Dan Gillis, like I said, is here as well, who would be happy to answer any questions.
Right, thank you. Are there any questions from the council?
Would the attorney please go over once again the restrictions on that particular piece of property?
Yes. So if the rezone was passed with the commitment that was filed, the use of the real estate would be restricted to the Unified Zoning Ordinance, strictly SIC 41, which is local passenger transportation, and SIC 42, which is motor freight transportation and warehousing. Those are the only 2 uses that would be permitted in that I3 zone. If any change were to be made to those permitted uses, they would have to go through a formal rezone through the APC and come back through this city council to get a new permitted use. So I know last time there was concern that a junkyard could be put there. That is impossible based on the commitment being filed because it restricts solely that SIC 41 and 42 use.
I have a question, Madam President.
Go ahead, Mr. Reynolds.
Yeah. I have been out there several times, and I look at the residentials on to the south of them, and I've talked to several of the people out there, and it kind of seems to consensus of everybody. I think the heavy traffic is number one. There's already a lot of traffic on that road, and if you've been on it, it's if you're going to bring any kind of storage in there, which it could be motor freight, anything that's stored there. I'm just not in favor of an I3 being in the city that close to the residential, and that's my own opinion. And talking to the residents, some of the residents out there, they kind of feel the same thing. But I think traffic is the number one concern.
Yeah, and that's certainly fair. There is an I3 currently existing to the north, so it would be contiguous with that zone. The cemetery is currently zoned I3. Additionally, based on the type of storage my client is going for, it is boat and RV. Traditionally, with boat and RV, it's something you're going to store during the winter when it's not in use. It's going to be left there for a long period of time, and you come in, you pick up your boat for the summer. So it's not, you're not going to have the traffic levels of people coming in and out every day to this storage unit. This is items that are going to be left there for a long period of time. So based on what we've looked at, I don't see an increase in traffic being so significant as to disrupt that area. I drove over there just today again to look at the area and make sure, and I think we're confident in our assessment and putting in something that's really going to be a great short-term use, for that property, which is still going to allow that long-term flexibility where if down the road, it could be GB to better fit the needs of the area. But it allows a lot of that long-term flexibility while still getting some present value and usage other than just sitting vacant, which it's doing now.
And I think you just answered my question, short term. And I don't think we need anything in short term, an I3. That's my own personal opinion. And I think that's opinion of most of the residential, permanent residential people in that area.
And which I can understand as well. From the notices we've sent out, I had not personally heard anything, so I'll defer to you on that if there were issues. But I have not heard. But I think it's important to mention that while the I3 can be the big bad wolf in that it allows so many things, it is such a saturated and diet version of an I3 because the uses that can be permitted under the I3 are so minimal. It's only those two things that it's not. I don't think it's fair to categorize it as a full-on I3.
Okay. I have a question. Like, how many vehicles could be stored there on that property? Do you have any idea? It's about almost 8 acres.
Yeah. Dan, feel free to chime in if you have a better answer than I. Based on the rendering that was given to us from Star and Associates, I think, if you were at full max capacity, and we're assuming, some of the spaces are 10 by 50s, it looks like there's.
Hey, Tyler, this is Dan. Tyler asked me to show up so he put a face with the request. Star that drew it up, he drew up just under 100 positions for that. You can't utilize the whole property because a lot of it has to be set aside for green space and retention pond. So even though it is 8 acres, there's already about 1.5 acres cut out for the existing storage that we have there now with EAC. So that leaves maybe 5 acres to be storage. And the way they drew it out, it was just under 100 positions. And there are just for RVs, mostly fifth wheel and boats. So when somebody drops off an RV, I know I have an RV. When I drop it off there, it may be a month before I'm in and out to pick it up again. So I don't think it's going to add hardly any, if any significant traffic at all, if that's the question.
And just to add on to that, specifically, the drawing rendering has about 74 10 by 50 spaces and around 15 10 by 20 spaces. So right at about 89, give or take.
But you also said that motor freight could park in there if necessary, correct?
I'm not planning on doing any motor freight. I'm going to advertise it. There's a need for, like I said, I have a fifth wheel. So I hired a company to tell me what the best use of the land is. And you have that report there in front of you. And they said RV boat storage. And I know when I brought my RV last year, I called around to try to find a place to put my RV. It's a 35-foot fifth wheel. I'm currently in it right now in San Antonio, but there is no, there's a big waiting list in Lafayette, and there is no place to put an RV. So I think it's a really good use for that property is be able to, for someone, since most HOAs don't allow you to park an RV, such as mine, 35 feet, people need a place to store their RV. So that's where I came up with the idea with the company request or saying that that's the best use of the property. And my own experience that there was no place to put an RV, that those two came together, and that's why we came up with this request.
Okay.
My question is, if things are real tough and hard times or property changes hands, it could still be used as motor carrier parking, correct?
I don't see a need for that. I have no desire for that.
I asked about, could it be?
Technically, the answer is technically yes. The way that the UZO is written, we can only restrict it so much. And because the UZO does not differentiate its permitted uses between, a semi versus a RV, there's no way for us on a commitment to put that. So we worked with APC staff, and APC only gave us approval because we filed the commitment. And working with APC staff, we made this the most restrictive means possible to accomplish our goal. And so that's why it's only those 2 uses out of the entire I3 world that is down to 2 uses. So while there's nothing that we can put in a commitment to guarantee there won't be motor freight, you know, I brought Dan for this reason, is that it's going to be advertised as boat and RV, and that is the intention. There is no current intention to go forward to have semis and motor freight. There are plenty of that around, you know, that area already. You certainly, there's no need for that.
Believe me, I agree with you, and that has been one of the concerns of residents as well as myself, is that in 5 years or 10 years or whenever property's sold, what may go there, because you live with this commitment for the life of the property, not just the owner. It stays with the property unless somebody rezones it.
So did you say with this change, did the APC staff approve this?
Never came before the APC board.
The APC board, the APC staff gave a recommendation of approval. The APC board voted in favor of it 14-2.
Right, but the original one, the staff denied it, correct?
Correct. The original one, the staff denied it because of how many things you can do on an I3. You know, you can mine, excavate, you could completely tear up the property. And so when they told us that was their concern, obviously my client had no intention of doing any of that. So it was a no-brainer for us to go ahead and file this commitment, just to restrict it down to the only means necessary for us to be able to do this. Because we you know, he can keep doing what he's doing in GB because it's only on that 2 acres of usage. But once you cross that 2 acres, you have to rezone it.
Right. So now the way you've revised it, you do also have the recommendation of the staff along with the council, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I have not seen that report from the staff, but it may be available.
And if you can, I've worked a lot with the staff over there on this project. You can call. I know Robita Foley's been my main contact. So I would encourage you, any of you, to contact her as well on this if you have any questions. But we've worked.
Is that in writing? Is that in writing?
The staff recommendation?
Yes.
It would have been provided at that AP staff meeting. They had given a recommendation for approval contingent on the commitment.
Okay, I'm sorry I didn't get that message, but
I can try to find a copy of you from that, because that would have been
I've got them sitting here, and I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was in the November meeting.
Because for me, if the APC staff approves it, that's a big point. That makes me more in favor than against. If they're the professionals, and you know, and I trust their judgment. So the fact that they now don't deny this, approve it, that's huge for me. Okay. Is there any other? I know the cemetery, which is behind it, is zoned industrial. Now, why that is, I don't know. But other than that, are there any other areas fairly close to this that are zoned industrial? Because when I looked on the map, I saw general business, and you know, general business next to a residence is not that such a big a deal as a, you know, as a industrial. I couldn't find any other ones, but the cemetery is not going to be a problem.
So if you go north of the cemetery,
down towards the avenue that way,
the river, that all is I3.
Yes, down there, right? Okay.
Yeah, and if you head east a little bit, you have some residential, but way to the east, and I forgive me, I can't pull what road that is. There's an I3 that was actually granted an I3, but it shows it had a commitment filed with it, and I can't tell you what that commitment was. I don't know that answer, but it does say on the map that it's an I3 with a commitment filed, and that's to the northeast of the property.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I did find where the staff comments was. I'm sorry, I did miss that. And it tells about they plan on no buildings. It's pretty lengthy. It has a lot of ifs, ands, and buts in it, but it's at the bottom. It does says with staff recommendation, with commitments, They do for an RV, they do a commitment. They do approve the commitments, or yes, approve the commitment. Sorry. So, but on the other hand, like I said, I still speaking to the residents. That's my opinion, and that's I'm only one vote. So, thank you. I did find it. I stand corrected.
All right. Are there any other questions or concerns?
Yeah, I heard someone bring up cemetery, Madam President. I think that there are great side services there. I've been to a number of them there. So as long as there's no significant noise or odor, I don't think because I remember some other zoning that we had in that area, and I remember speaking with the church officials, and seems like as long as there's no significant noise or odor, we'd probably be okay on that. It doesn't sound like there would be that.
And at the AP, sorry, go ahead.
Sound.
Can I ask about the berms on the west side, on the west side of the cemetery? How big is it? How is tall? You said you had two berms, one 4 foot, one 6 foot. Am I right?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question. Can you ask that again?
You said there's a 4 foot berm and a 6 foot berm between the cemetery and the what you're trying to approve tonight.
You said there's a retention pond in that. Is that towards the back of the property?
Yeah, there's a detention pond in the back, and there's a looks like a 15-foot rear yard in the back. So there would be a pretty significant gap in between the detention pond and the cemetery. The cemetery has already erected a fence there. So they have the fence set on the boundary as is, but there would be a detention pond that separates the storage itself from even the fence.
What about the pond? You said they're not the pond, the berm. You said that there's a 4 foot, this was last month, and a 6 foot berm. Now, if it's on the west side, that would be the end of the cemetery and to the start of your business.
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding the last word. Are you saying a 4 and a 6 foot what?
Berm.
He's saying a berm, like a small hill with some plantings on it, some trees and some type of landscaping.
I don't believe I referenced that at all at last meeting. I at least in that terminology. So, I mean, there would be a buffer zone to the west because there is a fence already constructed, and there would be a buffer zone in between the fence that's already erected and the storage lot itself. But that's all that would be on the west side of the property.
You could still see from the cemetery into that property. You could still see if anything was stored in there.
Yeah.
You don't remember saying that then, right?
I don't believe.
Hi there, if I can answer that. If you walk back there, there's a cemetery has a road between our property and when the cemetery starts. And between that road and our property is a whole line of trees. So right now with no leaves on the trees, you can see through to the cemetery and the road. But in the summertime, when that all fills in, you can't see anything. It's just like a wall of trees.
Yeah, but in the wintertime, you still have funerals there and you can still see into it.
Well, there's a road where cars drive on that as well.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying the buffer zone should be applied there, but it's not.
There is still some sort of a buffer zone there. It's 15 feet. There's none required because it would be a contiguous I-3 zone. But with the detention pond, there still would be buffer in between the retention pond and the fence. So there is a buffer zone put in, although it's not required.
Okay.
All right. Are there any other questions or concerns from the council?
Well, one other question is about
Okay.
there is a shortage of storage areas for RVs and boats in this area. correct?
That's this is Dan. I can answer it. Yes, I called around to. It looked like there was 3 different places. Every place I called around, there was a waiting list to get on. They didn't know when anything would open up. So I actually had put my 35-foot RV off site because there is no place to store it. Right now, mine's in San Antonio. So there is definitely a need for RV and boat storage.
Okay. And Cindy, did we have any public comment or anything from residents from that area? Did you receive anything?
I received nothing electronically or telephonically.
Okay, good. All right. If there's no other questions or concerns, we're going to go ahead and conduct a roll call vote.
Heidi,
No.
Blinker,
Aye.
Nargi,
Aye.
Reynolds,
No.
Campbell,
No.
Brown, Perry,
No.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Downing. Where's Mr. Downing?
Yeah.
Did we lose Bob?
I turned my mic off. Apologize. Aye.
Was that an aye?
Yes.
Okay. It is a tie, so I think that makes Melissa probably have to vote.
Okay, what a night to become president. I vote no.
Okay, ordinance fails.
All right, thank you everyone for that one. We have ordinance 2020-48 for second reading tonight.
An amendment to ordinance number 2010-11, inclusion of certain property in the local Upper Main Street Historic District in the city of Lafayette, Indiana.
I move for passage of ordinance 2048 on second and final reading.
A second.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Collier?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to answer any questions you might have. We reviewed this last month, but this is for the expansion of the existing Upper Main Street Local Historic District and to include 813 Ferry Street. And the property owner has submitted this on her own accord and would like to be included in the local historic district. And the commission reviewed and recommended approval as well.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions or concerns from the council? Did we receive any public comment?
There was none.
Okay, I think we're ready for a roll call vote on 2020-48.
Heidi,
Aye.
Clinker,
Aye.
Nargi,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
All right, thank you. We're now ready for ordinance number 2020-49.
An amendment to ordinance number 2010-11, establishing local St. Mary's 1327 Columbia Street Historic District in the city of Lafayette, Indiana.
All right, we're going to hear Mr. Collier again.
So this is another individual property local historic district request. It's actually being submitted by the city. Property that is owned by the city, but it is currently a vacant lot, but it is in the St. Mary's National District and just one property away from the most recent new local historic district that you all approved, I believe, a month or two ago in the St. Mary's District as well. So by designating it as a local historic district, we're ensuring that whatever does get built there would be appropriate for the adjacent National Historic District and also as part of the local historic district.
Madam President, I
Yes,
move for
Mr.
passage of ordinance 2020-49. Second and
Thank
final.
you.
Second.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Okay. Are there any questions or concerns about this ordinance? Did we receive any public comment?
I received none.
Okay, then I think we're ready for a roll call vote.
Heidi,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Argy,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Downey.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
All right, thank you.
Thank
We
you.
do have one ordinance for first reading tonight, ordinance 2021-01.
An ordinance amending the amended ordinance 2020-31 and ordinance fixing the salaries of the sworn protective occupation and law enforcement poll members of the police and fire departments of the city of Lafayette, Indiana for the year 2021.
All right, Mr. Mayor, are you going to speak to this?
Yes, Madam President, this is just really to correct the scriveners there. When the ordinance went through originally, we left out the pay, the specialty pay for the K-9 officers. And when we went through the contract with the FOP, we caught that. So we just have added the word K-9 officer to the specialty pay line of this ordinance, and we would appreciate your approval.
All right, thank you. Are there any comments from the council?
Madam President, I move to hear on first reading 2021-01.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Thank you. I'll get back in the routine here. Is there any comment from council or any questions? All right, was there any public comment?
I received none.
All right, then I think we are ready for a roll call vote.
Heidi,
Aye.
Blinker,
Aye.
Argy,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Downey.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
All right, thank you. We're ready now for resolutions. We have 3 tonight. The first one is resolution 2021-01.
A resolution approving the agreement between the city of Lafayette and the Lafayette Police Department, sworn police officers of the Lafayette Army Lodge, number 49, Fraternal Order of Police.
All right, Mayor, are you going to speak to us again?
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the council, we're very pleased to submit to you a contract between the city of Lafayette and the Fraternal Order of Police of the Lafayette Police Department. We were able again to negotiate a 4-year contract, and we're very pleased, and we've been successful on that several years in a row now. And this, along with the fire department, the big piece of this that I want to talk about is the longevity pay for the officers. And you probably, if you've looked through your exhibit, we have some of the information in there, what that looks like. Again, this was very well received by the officers of the Lafayette Police Department. This is incredibly important as we try to keep and retain our officers and hire the best officers possible. So with this longevity pay, the specialty pay, and the guaranteed raises, guaranteed minimum raises that are in this contract, we feel very good. It's going to make us extremely competitive, and we'd appreciate your approval.
All right, thank you. I think we need to bring it to the table though first, right?
Yep.
Sorry.
I move we approve resolution 2021-01 on first and final.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns from the council? Did we receive any public comment?
I received none.
Okay, then we're ready for a roll call vote.
Heidi,
Aye.
Blinker,
Aye.
Argy,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Downey.
Aye.
Resolution passes 8-0.
Thank you. We're now ready for resolution number 2021-02.
A resolution approving the detail of the 2021 Water and Renew Wastewater Department budgets.
Thank you. Mrs. Allersmeyer?
I move we hear and approve resolution 2021-02, first and final
Thank-
reading.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Clary, are you going to speak to us on this one?
Yes, I am, Madam President. Thank you very much, and members of the council. Tim Clary, City Controller. The Lafayette Board of Works has approved the budget in their weekly meeting last week on the 5th of January 2021, and I hope you all have had an opportunity to read the narrative along with the budget for both our water utility and the Renew wastewater utility. We feel this is a responsible budget that has longevity and sustainability. I met with the officials of both of the utilities, and they presented their needs for the upcoming year, both in an operational stance and also a capital asset and depreciation fund expenditures. And we came to a nice agreement and prioritized our needs for the upcoming year. 2020 was a good year overall for the utilities considered the COVID-19. The revenues were stable, our accounts receivable are manageable, and overall I think that they've done an excellent job of controlling their costs through this unusual year. And I think they've done a great job for our citizens and allow us to provide good drinking water and adequate wastewater services for our citizens. As I said, I hope you've been able to review this, and I support your approval of this resolution tonight.
All right, thank you very much for all your hard work on that ordinance and then for the budget. Are there any questions?
Many pieces of the puzzle that make this come together. Both Renew and the people in my office play a big part in it as well. So thank you.
Well, thank you to everyone. Are there any concerns from the city council members? All right. Was there any public comment?
I received none.
Okay, then I think we're ready for a roll call vote on resolution number 2021-02.
Heidi,
Aye.
Blinker,
Aye.
Nargi,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Resolution passes 8-0.
Thank you very much. We're ready for resolution 2021-03.
A resolution to amend the City of Lafayette Community Development Block Grant and the Lafayette Housing Consortium Home Program 1-year annual action plan for 2019.
All right, Mr. Reynolds.
I move to hear and approve resolution 2021-03.
Mr. Downing, one of you.
Second.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Reynolds, that's going to speak to this tonight.
Yes. Good evening. Happy New Year. So congratulations to the new president, tiebreaker. We'll see a lot of them this year, just not in the city council. So we are requesting approval for the City of Lafayette received an additional $419,731 of CARES Act funding for coronavirus pandemic related activities. So this requires us to do an amendment to the CDBG or Community Development Block Grant 1-year action plan. So the proposed amendment for the 2019 action plan allocates an additional $200,000 to the Emergency Small Business Assistant Program to assist an estimated 20 new businesses up to $10,000 for each business. And it reserves $219,731 for future pandemic related activities.
All right.
Waiting list now presently for those monies.
The application process has closed, so we're not accepting any more applications. So they haven't gone through
applications
to
you
score
have
them.
presently.
Dennis, are you on?
Yes. We received 84 applications.
Thank you.
Question, Dennis, is this some of this money we've already distributed?
No, this is round 2.
Oh, this is round 2. Okay, thank you.
Yes. So the total that we've got over the first 2 rounds are $813,815.
Oh, okay, thank you.
One question. Mr. Carson, out of the 84 applicants, how many will we be able to help approximately? Do you have a guess on that yet?
Well, we have actually 215,000 funding for this round. We had an extra 15,000 left over from the previous round. So we're going to be able to do, 21, probably maybe 22, maybe as much as 23 applications. Like Michelle said, you could apply up to $10,000. Not everyone applied for the full 10,000.
Okay, that was.
But unfortunately, we won't be able to fund them all.
Okay.
In the first round, just to kind of let you know, in the first round of our 400,000, looks like we served 45 businesses were funded.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And then you said that there's 219,000 for future related COVID activities. Do you have any idea what those might be?
No, we haven't, we really haven't decided yet. It's a discussion with the mayor, the economic development department. We have not lots of, but we have other considerations, whether we're going to look at utility subsidy or rental subsidies.
Okay. That sounds good. All right. Are there any other questions from the council tonight? Did you receive any public comment?
I received none.
Okay, then I think we're ready for a roll call vote.
Ivy,
Aye.
Blinker,
Aye.
Nargi,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Resolution passes 8-0.
Thank you, everybody. Mrs. Murray did send out to us today our committee assignments from last year. If you would like anything changed, please let one of us know before the next meeting. Are there any reports of standing committees? Reports of special committees? Report by the mayor?
No, thank you.
Okay, miscellaneous and new business? Reports of councilmen? Any public comment?
I received none.
Okay, perfect. Then we're ready for our adjournment.
Madam President, I move we adjourn.
Okay.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Ivy,
Aye.
Blinker,
Aye.
Nargi,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.